What is the fastest way to get to $300 per day on Shopify, even if you're a complete beginner? How can you do this in just 1 week? Hey, what's going on everyone? Hayden here, coming back at you with a brand new video. And in this one, I'm gonna be breaking down and taking you guys step by step through what you should be doing specifically with your Facebook ads in order to have over $300 per day in sales coming in ideally less than a week. I'm gonna walk you through my exact process that I've been using for over 3 years, and I'm gonna explain why each thing works. I'm actually gonna be, in a moment, going inside of my computer, inside of one of my own ads managers or someone's ad manager, whichever one I can pull up, and showing you guys exactly how I set this up, making sure that I can guide you along that process so that as you're going through and launching your Facebook ads, you're not making a couple of the simple mistakes and falling into some of the pitfalls that Facebook basically lays out for you and wants you to end up either clicking or not clicking. It's a bunch of small sly stuff that they do that ultimately in the end leads to you not making as much money. So if you stick through to the end, that's what you can expect to know and understand exactly how to launch ads and start getting a couple $100 a day coming in as quick as possible. So with that being said, make sure to smash the like button, and if you have any questions at all throughout the duration of this video, of course, drop them in the comment section down below. I would be more than happy to help you out. This is something where for me, I used to search for this stuff in a course. So about 3.5 years ago, when I was really super close to figuring this stuff out, I had just burned through all my money trying to learn Facebook. I was trying to figure out, where can I see someone who knows what they're doing launch ads? That's it. There just wasn't a video that I could find for free 3 to 4 years ago that explained that. So that's what we're gonna do here today. And I wanna just break it down first. Why 300? Why 500? Does it have something to do with the YouTube algorithm and getting more views? Not quite. It's just a random number. But the way that I personally think about my ads is in a series of growth sections, okay? And you can call it whatever you want, but $300 a day, $1,000 a day, 5,000, 20,000, 30, and it's basically tens at that point, is kind of how I think about it when I'm running Facebook ads, okay? If I'm not doing Facebook ads for a store, let's say for whatever reason, I'm just using Instagram influencers, that $300 is irrelevant. But with Facebook, it's not, because the way I launch my ads and the amount of money I spend usually leads to it landing somewhere around that dollar amount in sales. So we're kind of sharing stage one here. This is like the first thing you should expect to do and see inside of your ad account in the first 7 days if things are going well, okay? At the end of the day, some products don't work, some end up taking off and they might do way better. It just depends, and that's why you got to test a lot of different things until you find something that works for you. Okay, so with that being said, let me just jump inside of my computer real quick and we're gonna get into it. All right, so this is what you're gonna see as you're creating a campaign and selecting conversion. So if you're doing a conversion campaign, this is ultimately the page you would be landing on if you were first launching your ads. If you have nothing going on, you're gonna run into this as you're doing it. So I just wanna kind of guide you through a couple things that I'm gonna do, speak about it along the way. We'll jump in and out of this computer screen here and just share it. But think about it like this, and you can write this down as we go. Your goal in the beginning is to launch as many ad sets as you possibly can. So this is where your budget comes into play, because down here where you'd be selecting your daily budget actually, and this I believe is just launching on an ad set level, we're inside of it right here, your daily budget, and this is just a good rule of thumb, should be about 1/3 of your selling price. So whatever you're selling, does not matter what it is, your daily ad spend should be roughly 1/3 or 1/4 of that. So you're selling a phone case for 25 bucks, you should have probably a mix of $5 and $10 a day ad sets. You got something for 50, run a couple 10s, a couple 15s, a couple 20s, somewhere around that general range, see what would work for you. But the easiest way to test this, if you have a product that is selling for under $30, again, roughly it could be 35, but around that mark, you should try to launch 15 to 20 $5 a day ad sets. Now, people laugh at $5 a day ad sets. They sleep on $5 a day ad sets, but it's one of the best ways to build data right away if you don't want to go too aggressive, okay? I'm not talking about launching $1,000 a day worth of CBOs out of the gate. That's just a different strategy, and I don't think you should need to go that aggressive when you're testing a product. You don't even know if it's going to work yet. So what you're going to do, you're going to select your pixel. Again, this is just some random ad account inside of here. You're going to choose your conversion event, okay? One of the easiest ways to start, and what I recommend you do to see if Facebook is going to help you optimize for this right away is to actually go ahead and run a purchase ad set. So each of those should be at a purchase. Now, the reason we start off with purchase is, again, to see if they optimize for it and actually give you purchases. Now, if Facebook doesn't give you purchases, and this will happen, it could be based on the product, yes, but more likely it's probably something to do with either that ad account, that pixel, or the conversion event. So if purchase doesn't work, I recommend, if you have, let's say you launch 20 ad sets and none of them work, that would suck. It's happened to me a few times. It really doesn't happen that often, but then you should go just kill all those and just relaunch like 2 or 3, maybe an add to cart and initiate checkout, something simple like that where it's not a purchase conversion, and see if that optimizes better for you. So that's kind of what you're looking for throughout here as you're setting it up. But let me just go through and point out a few key things. Again, this is stuff that I didn't learn until years and years later. So for the location inside of here, everyone in this location, look, if you're not targeting worldwide, I would recommend people who live in this location. Facebook does seem to like that option. They optimize a little bit better, your cost per purchase. I've tested this on multiple ad sets, hundreds of times, where you have the same ad set running twice. Usually the one that is people who live in this location will do better. So I do recommend, if you're trying to narrow it down, in the US, you have tens and tens and tens of millions of people that are traveling every day who might not speak English. You don't want to land on their phone or on their computer, right? You're trying to get in front of a specific audience, okay? So the age and gender, this is something where unless your product is very specific to something, I would recommend leaving it broad. And you'd be surprised. I've sold a lot of stuff in the beauty niche. It's been a lot of, like quartz face rollers and fridges and this and that, and makeup products and hairbrushes and hair curlers, anything. Like probably 24 products. And I actually usually prefer to leave it as male and female in the beginning. You'd be surprised. You would get like a 10 to 20% of your total purchases might be male on a product that is very specifically female oriented. And it's not like, oh, but it's a female product, it makes sense to run it for female. Well, Facebook might start optimizing an ad set that should work for female. They might just start pulling more people and getting more purchases on the male side of things. So maybe that's an ad set that you're gonna have to narrow down and eventually change it so it's only running to men, right? People might buy stuff for someone else or buy it for whatever reason. We're not here to judge, we're here to get a sale. Okay, so keeping it broad if you can is a great way to do it. It also opens up the door to having a bigger audience, which means you can then eventually launch more ad sets down the road, just duplicates of that, and you have more room with your audience sizing to do breakdowns. Okay, so that means, looking into the specifics of your ads down the road and seeing, hey, this one age category worked better, let me just run it to that. Okay, so let's keep moving on. I don't want to spend too much time with that and confusing you, but one of the best ways to start off that Facebook's been liking a lot into 2020 is with automatic placements. Again, it's keeping that audience size big. It's giving you the opportunity down the road to have more narrows and more specific things that you could break it down by. Now, maybe your ad creative, the video ad that sells your product, is only the right sizing for Instagram story. Well, then just run it on Instagram story. And that's kind of a case-by-case situation, but I try to leave things alone as much as possible when I'm first getting the ball rolling, okay? So keep that super simple. Now, the daily budget over here on your ad set level. Again, the third to the fourth rule. Okay, so 1/3 to 1/4 of what your product is selling for should be what your daily budget is. So I would just recommend launching a bunch of $5 a day. You could launch a couple of 10s. It's usually the easiest way to not spend a whole bunch of money when you're first getting started, because this is something I say all the time. I actually had someone who recognized me and watched the channel. I think he's in one of our programs. Shout out to you, brother, who ran into me at the grocery store. And he started asking me about testing and how to find products. And we got into the topic of Facebook ads. And one thing I mention, and again, I mention this to everyone, whether it's a friend or someone I bump into, I always say the one thing that's really going to kill your margin is not the ad sets that are at a 0.8 ROAS, they're losing a little bit of money. It's the ones that run for 3 to 4 days. Maybe you let them run on accident for another day or two and they never get a purchase. It's almost always those ad sets that just stack up, because if you have 50 that are working but you launch 30 that don't, you could flip into being unprofitable when in reality you have a ton of great ad sets. So you have to be careful. You do have to watch your ads closely as they're running, but one easy way to avoid that in the beginning is just don't spend that much, right? Launch it, slowly start getting things going, especially if your budget is limited. I cannot possibly stress that enough, right? Okay, so I actually do not even have Wi-Fi at the moment. So Anyways, this is just kind of an overall setup. I'll kind of talk about the rest of it of what you guys would see. You'd just be on the next page, putting on your page post, putting on your button. You could put like a shop now button, get offer, apply now, whatever it is. Put your link and that's it. You publish that ad set. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna go inside of your campaigns. You're gonna see that one ad set you launched and you're gonna duplicate it. And you can just do this one by one or however you want to do it. Just duplicate it, change the interest, duplicate it, change the interest, duplicate it, change the interest to every possible thing that you could think of. So for an example, if I'm selling a car air freshener, I'm going to put in air freshener. I'm going to find some other brands that sell it. I'm going to target them. I'm going to target Audi. I'm going to target Toyota. I'm going to target, every possible company, Cadillac, this, that, everything I can think of, maybe even some big car dealerships, anything that relates to it, I'm going to launch that. So here's what's going to happen if you want to think about it like this on a larger scale with your ads. If you were to launch 15 ad sets right out of the gate, all with different interests, targeting a bunch of random stuff, which is really what it is, well, within 3 to 4 days, it might go like this, from 15 down to 4 or to 5. So what's going to happen is you're going to want to leave on all of the ad sets that get one purchase or more. Okay, so you just narrowed it down to only the audience that started to work and started to produce. You don't need to worry about the other ones. You don't really need to test too many other ones yet. What you're gonna do, you're gonna take those ad sets, any that have more than one sale, okay, more than one sale, it could be 2, it could be 3, however many, you're gonna duplicate that and not change anything. You could duplicate it again and you could try raising the budget, but you just wanna slowly, once you shrink it down and focus your ad spend, you're cutting out a bunch of this ad spend and then you're basically gonna re-add that ad spend back in, but on stuff that's already working. So if it has multiple purchases, you could duplicate it and just do more of what's working. You could also duplicate any of those ad sets and find similar interest to those specific ones that are working. So that's the easiest way to do this, is to launch, let's say 10 to 20 of these ad sets. I'd try and push above 10 if you're really trying to get it going quick. But for every 10 you launch, you're spending $50 a day. So let's say you launch 20, you're spending $100 a day. It's really not that aggressive in terms of spending. It's gonna be running for a couple days, hopefully build some data, make sure that your pixel is set up on the store so everything's tracking correctly. But by running your ads that way, you're gonna start to help Facebook get time, because you're running these ads slow. It's only $5 or $10 a day ad sets. Facebook's gonna have time to start optimizing inside of that audience. And let's say 5 or 6 of those work, which would be very normal out of 15 to 20. You now have 5 completely different audiences that are probably pretty large that you can target and you'll probably be running with for a long, long time, even when you have lookalikes running. So the reason we're doing all of this is to get revenue coming in. You probably won't be profitable during that first week. But after that first week, and again, it's all situational. You could have a product that blows up and it does really well for you and that's great, but it doesn't always work like that. So now after that first week, once you start having a couple of audiences, those interests that are working, you're gonna have a lot more ad sets running off them. You're gonna start breaking them down, finding some more. You might be around break even. So maybe you're making that $300 a day, but you're spending $250, right? So your product cost might be $50, $60, $70, $80. You're roughly around break even. You just want to watch that margin to make sure you're not going too far upside down, because again, that's where it gets kind of stressful and you do things out of desperation, and usually good things don't come from that, okay? So focus on that. Once you get those first 100 sales, that's the most important part, because that's when you can start creating lookalike audiences. So if you're right at break even or barely profitable, keep doing it, because once you get those LLAs running, if it's already break even here, your lookalikes are basically guaranteed to perform better. Okay, I mean, like 15 times out of 16, it's gonna work way better, okay? So if you're getting 1 ROAS, then you're gonna have 2 with your lookalikes, and you're immediately gonna kind of be in the profit zone and be able to target a lot more people with those different audiences, okay? And if you guys are confused any of the stuff we went through, feel free to watch other videos on the channel. We have some other stuff on Facebook, some about specific things, lookalike audiences. We have videos on retargeting, or if you really want everything all in depth and done live in front of you inside of my own stores, showing you how I'm, producing thousands and thousands of dollars a day on new stores, and watch me scale that, see that whole process, make sure to reference the link in the description for the 30-day academy. That's what you'll be looking for inside of there, okay? So again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop it in the comment section down below. I know we covered a lot in a very short amount of time, but I wanted to put this out there because again, this is the stuff that just really wasn't there when I was starting, and it's so crucial. $300 a day, people are like, oh, but I'm only making $5 profit because I'm like at break even. Well, you know what? You now have a business that's doing $9,000 a month in revenue. And I talked about this in a video. Even if you ran this for 3 months trying to make it profitable and for whatever reason you just can't, there's someone, and I guarantee it because I do this, I buy these. Someone would come to you if you listed that for sale on the Shopify exchange or Flippa or any of these other brokers. You could sell something that's done $9,000 a month for 3 months. You could probably sell it for 5, 6, 7, 8 grand. Even if it's never made profit, because what someone is purchasing is that data, the customers, and the potential. They think that they can come in there and do a better job, which sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. That's on them. But they would buy it, and there would be your profit. If you build something, you sell it for 6 grand. Well, there's 2 grand a month if you did it for 3 months. So you can kind of haggle and finesse in a lot of different ways. Even if something doesn't work too well, there's always potential. That's why I love e-commerce. There's so much money to make, especially into 2020. So make sure to take advantage of it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. Make sure to smash the like button so that other people can see this as well, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the future videos or tutorials where I'm showing you winning products, showing you how to run ads, set up your store, and everything in between. All right. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.